6 years, right?
I mean, if you're lucky, that'd be neat.
YouTube won't have reaction channels anymore by then, I guarantee. Like, copyright hammer will fall on everyone before then.
You think it's going that way? I don't think it's going that way.
Yeah, 2 of the reaction channels I watch were canceled just in this week. And they were both huge channels.
There will be a big lawsuit because it's fair use.
There's going to have to be a lawsuit at some point.
And we talk so much over the songs that it's really not even like listening to the album anyway.
Hey, I understand, but that algorithm that's not a human being with no feelings whatsoever.
Comments, people. Guy in the middle talks too much over the solos.
No, they don't. People don't say guy in the middle anymore. Now they say the fat guy. They say the fat guy or the bald guy. Yeah, it's me. I've had like a bunch of, like, I would say this week I've had 4 people comment the fat guy needs to shut up or something. And a lot of those are on the videos that I do with my cousin Cody, because we've done some Paul McCartney. Let me tell you, the Paul McCartney reaction video, a lot of views, a lot of negative comments, but also one of the dumbest songs I've ever heard in my entire life.
Song?
I also believe that.
Temporary Secretary.
Oh, I've only heard that song like twice.
It is a treasure. It's a treasure. It's a treasure in like all of music history. It's a tiny little gem that will sit in the dusty corner, the dusty bottom corner of the treasure chest of all music that's ever been created. And it will never fall through the cracks.
If Paul McCartney fans had any physical strength, they would be able to beat up the Metallica fans in terms of who is more ridiculous about the thing they love.
But they don't. And they certainly can't ride motorcycles like all the Metallica fans.
You know what's been nice about, it's taken me almost a year of doing these videos that I've realized a couple things about the comments. We really do love you guys that comment, hey, but also if you're like me and when you see something you like, you don't comment on it, right? We like the people that like us to comment. We also love it when the haters comment because it's really pointed out some things about me that I'm trying to work on.
It gives me an excuse to use this stupid voice.
That's what you get.
That is what you get. Sorry. But one of the things that's been really clear to me is when I'm reading things, and you might notice that there's 2 of us named Chris on this channel. So if it's anybody that says something positive when they mention the name Chris, I just assume they're talking about Chris Parker, which is true because he's cool Chris here. But then the other thing is, as I've read so many negative comments about what we do here, which is totally, this is no research. This is no nothing. We don't even use any audio tools. We're playing this crap we don't even have the visualizer on Winamp up. How little we're doing here. And listening some of it, I mean, right? Of course I've heard all these records. Of course Chris Parker's heard all these records, except Lulu, because he's a slacker.
Should we finally tell the people?
About what?
Well, I was going to save this until we discuss Metallica, but I was going to finally tell them that I've actually heard all of these albums, and we've just been acting this whole time.
It's not true for you people in the comments.
Go back and watch the videos and see if you can tell. Patrick actually does
live under a rock. It is sometimes hard to understand the depth
really incredible.
of his naivety. It's really incredible. But the other thing that I've noticed is that, and I think it has come across to people, I thought that some of the things saying, like, you must hate Metallica was about me or Chris Parker, or about me. But it's not. It's all about you.
It is. And there was a big comment we got just yesterday or even maybe this morning that was talking about, it was during my rant. I think it was in relation to my rant in Death Magnetic, because for a little bit during the Death Magnetic reaction, I allowed myself to sort of start airing some of my overall Metallica thoughts. But it's funny. Like, you have to understand, like, every Metallica fan has been frustrated with Metallica at one point or another, right?
Oh, yeah.
Right? The only difference here is I got to experience the entire breadth of Metallica in 1 year, right?
Right.
So I got to experience all the good and all the bad. And everybody watching this channel also knows how much of a stickler I am for certain things like fade outs, and a whole album can be ruined for me if the volume of the lead vocal is just like 3 dB lower than I think it should be.
Nobody is saying that this makes Patrick right. Even Patrick's friends who are here recording the video with him do not think that this makes him right.
Right, but my point is just that, like, I feel like it's justified for me to have all these conflicting thoughts about the band as a whole, because I'm just experiencing all this stuff for the first time. And I cannot fathom the idea of being disappointed in Metallica for over a decade, waiting for them to release anything that is listenable. And I'm like so glad that I didn't have to go through that. All right, that I got to listen. I got to go from Reload and then basically forget everything up until probably now, You know, because the thing that about Death Magnetic, like the official release of Death Magnetic is unlistenable and wrong. Like it's
miserable. Yeah.
It's not right what they did. Right?
On what?
On Death Magnetic, the official release.
Oh, the
release
original
that
one?
won Grammys.
Yeah,
It's
that hot, loud
unacceptable.
one.
It's unacceptable and it's wrong and it is garbage. However, they fixed it a year later by quietly, never announcing it, but just quietly releasing a cleaner version of it later. Now, I was thinking of this earlier today. There's no way they would have done that had the Guitar Hero files stems not been out there. As evidenced by the fact that they refused to turn the bass up in Justice. They refused to do anything with Saint Anger, right, to fix any of that stuff. So, like, I don't personally believe that Metallica would have ever released these iTunes versions, the, like, less compressed versions of Death Magnetic. But they had to, because there were stems released to the public that were cleaner than what was released on the official release, right?
I think I can agree with that. I don't think that I would say that they refused to fix Saint Anger because they would have had to first acknowledge that there's something wrong with Saint Anger, and
there's not.
Aren't going to do that.
Right.
There's not. I'm with you.
I'm
Lars.
into it. I'm into it.
Lars, if you're listening, I'm with you on Saint Anger. I think
Right.
that those were great
love Saint
But
choices.
even
Anger, I
still,
do.
their refusal to like
Cut the strainers off of all your snares.
their refusal to boost the bass on Justice, I think, is very telling.
The remaster
about how
had
they
quite
are.
a bit more bass in
It did a little bit, but I think that was just the master. They didn't go back into the stems of the files and boost it, which we all know that they could. They could have.
Do we all know that?
They could have for the remaster. It was the first time it had ever been remastered when they released it in 2018 or whatever on the CDs that I have right here.
They might have. I wonder if there was an element of backlash that they were afraid of if they were to actually go in and fix it. Like, just
I mean, that might
because
be
it's
all
like
the thing. It might be
They're
just
not going to
wanting
fix
admit-
it. They're not going to fix it because it's a tribute to Cliff Burton and how he died, and they didn't want to have the whatever. It's bullcrap. It's stupid. It's dumb. And so anyway,
what is
all
happening?
I'm saying is my rant in Death Magnetic is because I'm experiencing all of this in a short, compacted time. And everybody else had years and years and years and years between these disappointing Metallica albums to sit with it and then have hope for the next Metallica album. Whereas I've just been enjoying this as we've been going, you know?
I've never been disappointed by a Metallica album.
But then you aren't listening to them correctly.
Incorrect. Then you're doing it wrong. No, I had complaints about like
Straight up, there are some bad Metallica albums.
The way that Saint Anger sounded, everybody hated. I was like, I understand that people don't like this, and it's a real weird choice. There's things about it I still hate, but I like that album a lot more than most people. I
really
have no
didn't
problem
like
with
that when it came out. I remember getting through like 2 songs. I'm sure I talked about it in that video and stopping it. But now when I listen back to it with a little bit more of an open mind, and now that I'm older and wiser and less,
And if
am
you
I
use
less
crappy
influenceable
headphones.
by the internet? Well, I haven't listened to any of. Like, this is probably my first time listening to a lot of Metallica on headphones. All these videos,
Right.
Like,
I know we're like super focusing on it. Like I was gonna. Well, we don't need to get
or
into
to
it, but-
clarify, not in the car.
Right. Well, I was.
I also think that there's an element of we like a lot more about the songs than the way they sound.
I guess that can be true. And you've had so much longer to sit with them than I have too, you know? To me, my enjoyment of Ride the Lightning and Master of Puppets and Justice and Black Album and any of their albums is basically all the same because I've been able to hear them all about the same amount, you know? The only album I knew before we started this was Black Album, and I, hadn't listened to that for several years probably before we started this, and I haven't listened to it since we did the reaction because I figure if I'm going to go back and listen to some Metallica now, I figured I should listen to one of the other albums so I can better I can learn those albums better than the one I know the most already. You know what I mean? So I haven't gone back and listened to that one. Even though I'm trying to go through and list them and all those things and try to figure out what all the songs are, because it's still to the point where if you just showed me if you picked 5 random Metallica songs, there's a good chance I wouldn't know or remember 3 of the 5. If you just picked 5 random ones, you know what I mean? Like I wouldn't know. Probably. I would say I know maybe only 4 or 5 at most songs from each album. As okay, I remember that one from that album and I remember part of that song. In terms of remembering what like Justice is the album I've listened to the least, and the only song I can tell you that's on that album is One. That's the only song I remember on that album. Now, if I looked at it, well, actually, I'm not going to do.
Justice?
Yeah.
Huh.
I don't remember. Harvester of Sorrow maybe is another one. But other than that, I don't remember the songs that are on that at all. So
Are you saying that that's a forgettable album then?
no, I'm saying I've
okay.
listened to it the least. And one of the
Sure.
reasons for that is because we had talked about doing a re-listen to it, Chris, you and me.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And so I haven't been listening to that one as much over the course of the year. So
Speaking of listening or not listening to Metallica, how many times do each of you think that you've listened to 72 Seasons?
I only listened to
I
it
bet
once all the way
Spotify
through.
could tell me.
I only listened to it once all the way through, and since then I would say I've put it on maybe 5 times.
When we did the video?
Yeah, I listened to it all the way
I think
through, and we
that's
did
the
the
only
video.
time I listened to it the whole way through, too.
I would probably say maybe 20 times.
I
I
knew
used to listen to it a lot while I was riding my bike places.
Oh, that's good. Do you like it?
I do like it. It doesn't call to me. Like if my Metallica whole thing comes in huge waves. Yes. I know I don't listen to Metallica for like months and months, and then something will happen and I'll hear a song or I'll listen to a song that somebody sent me or whatever, and then it's like, man, this is it. I'm listening to only Metallica for like 3 straight weeks. And so that happens a lot. But 72 Seasons doesn't really call to me in regards to like when I'm feeling like listening to Metallica, where do I go? I don't think that I'm super hooked on it. I would prefer to listen to Hardwired over 72 Seasons, but I did listen to it a lot this year because I'm trying to, suss out where it belongs on the top 12, if it does make it there or not.
Right.
And otherwise, I'm not sure how often I'll listen to it,
See, that's the reason I
future.
tried to listen to it several times as well to see if it would make it on my list. And I think at this point in the year, I can pretty safely say that it's not going to be on my list. But there have been, I have found some really nice albums this year that I'm really excited to have on my list, even though I've been more disappointed with things that I was looking forward to this year than any other year. Things that I wasn't expecting to like so much have surprised me, if that's a good way to say that. So 72 Seasons, I would say if James's vocals were up in the mix, maybe like 4 dB, I would like it a lot
maybe
more.
2.
2, it would be better. 3, it would be probably perfect. 4, I don't mind it when the vocals are hot. But, I think, I don't know. Whatever. My point earlier was going to be that I was doing something the other day with Metallica, and I was going back through all of our older videos to it doesn't matter. But I was listening with my earbuds. And as I was listening on my earbuds, I was like, wow, Death Magnetic does not sound as bad as I remember. Wow, Saint Anger does not sound as bad as I remember. Wow, Ride the Lightning doesn't sound as bad as I remember. And then I realized it was because I was just listening on earbuds, which are so much more contained. And they're so much more, there's just so much less frequency response. And I don't shove them against my eardrum, so there's no high frequencies or low frequencies in my earbuds. Like I don't have fantastic ones or anything, just some Samsung ones. And so like that got me thinking. I was like, oh, it's interesting. And so then this morning I was listening when I drove to town, and I was listening to Death Magnetic in the car, and I was like, wow, this is actually pretty cool. Like this isn't as bad as I thought it was. And I should have appreciated this more at the time, because even though I still stick by my statement that Death Magnetic is a fantastic metal band with a very generic metal band sound, I think that album is mixed like generic metal band, 101. But I should have appreciated that more at the time, because we've gotten so much Metallica that is not even at that level. Like that there's just something frustrating or stupid or very annoying about whatever they decided to do with the album, that the fact that that album was mixed like that, I should have appreciated it more at the time.
Well, and the thing is...
So we'll just have to see what Hardwired gives us.
Yeah, I think that a lot of the commenters are correct. The pre-commenters are correct in what you're gonna say about Hardwired.
What have they said?
That it's going to be my favorite album, Metallica album.
Sure.
Which it's got to do a lot to be better than Load.
No, yeah, Patrick's not going to like it more than Load. I'm not going to make a derogatory comment about anybody there.
That's all right.
But it's kind of strange, and we've grown so much in doing this thing, but it's kind of strange to me that right, we are talking about like the biggest rock band that will probably ever exist, and that like fans, hardcore fans of this band, which you guys are way more rabid than I really thought. Like I have said before, I thought I was a Metallica fan. I am not compared to you people at all.
Yeah, but you can't. I understand what you're saying, but like you cannot let that bother you because we're on the internet. Like Lars himself could be sitting there with as an alias. Like you're never going to be the guy that knows the most about whatever you're talking about online.
Well, no, I don't care.
So like, don't let that bother you.
I'm not. It doesn't bother me. I'm just surprised because like, and then listening to all this stuff has made me realize like how much I have been influenced by Metallica. And one of the things, because we've been talking about like things that describe our musical taste, the three of us, and I have identified one of them. And it is largely due to Metallica. Not completely, but that was probably the beginning of it. But it is messed up that the rabid hardcore fans of this giant band have to go listen to live recordings. I was just reading some comments. You guys probably saw me on my phone. But I was reading some comments that said, the live version of this song is the best song. We were talking about live versions and listening to some right before we started recording today. And some of them, the mix is really good. The performance might not be perfect, which is one of my beefs about live Metallica.
Any band live.
Any band live. You don't say that about Cannibal Corpse. You don't say that about Lamb of God. Anyway. But that's messed up. That like
the
biggest
live
rock
versions
band,
are the best.
That you have to go. It's like, oh man, the best version of, and I don't think it's even rabid fandom. It's like, here's one with a reasonable mix. That, I don't really have any problems with any of the production, but that's weird to me.
Yeah,
I think that's
you got to keep the age in mind too. Though
I was just gonna say, and I've not to defend Metallica, but like any band that's been around for so long that technology has caught up with them and far surpassed their early albums, like that's just probably going to be the case. However, like I said,
I don't want Ride the Lightning to sound like Archspire. I don't want Master of Puppets to sound like Suffocation. I don't want Justice to sound like modern Cannibal Corpse. Like I don't want that.
Yeah, but you're naming bands that sound shitty.
No, I'm not. No, those are three, like those, the Archspire's records, they're only new. They haven't been around for that long.
And
they sound
they
great.
Sound really good.
The new Suffocation record just came out. It sounds freaking phenomenal.
But the thing is, Metallica doesn't make that style of music, and they never have.
No, but their stuff could sound like that. They could have stuff.
Yeah, but their stuff could also sound like Bullet for My Valentine.
I don't listen.
Hell
to
yeah.
Any Avenged Sevenfold, any band that's like a modern heavy band.
No, their stuff could sound there. That's right. I was just listing examples of records that I've heard lately that I liked the way that they sounded.
Right.
And I don't want the good Metallica albums to sound like that.
Right.
I like that Ride the Lightning
happy with the way they
sounds weird.
I think that it's time and stuff.
Yeah, it didn't sound weird in 1983. Really, 83? And it was
or 84.
84, yeah.
2 years until Master Puppets? Okay. Anyway.
Because Kill 'Em All was 81?
83.
83, and then 84 was Ride.
And also because Patrick hasn't been listening to these records since he was 15, like Chris Parker and I have, and like many of you have.
And also the whole point of this channel is me sitting here talking about the mix of the song.
Yes.
It's what I do in every single video. It's not just the Metallica videos. That's another thing I was going to yell at everybody for. When we posted
this is becoming confrontational.
When we posted that's all right, we're airing our grievances. when Chris Parker and I reacted to Poppy's new album and In This Moment's new albums, and I was trying to get them out as fast as possible because they were so new, and it still took me a week and a half after the albums were released to get them out. But when I posted In This Moment, like the first 4 comments on the video were all like,
this guy doesn't like one, but he likes In This Moment. What kind of musical taste is that?
And
it's
I'm like,
terrible music taste. Welcome to the channel,
I'm like,
people.
bro, this video was posted 10 minutes ago. If you listen to the video, we tear that album to shreds. We destroy the In This Moment album because it's terrible. Okay? Don't just go make a stupid comment like that. Like, I understand if you're trying to be funny. So if you're watching this video and you made that comment, because that happens sometimes. They're like, dude, can't take a joke. Okay? Just be happy, be
well,
honored.
That's always the very first thing anybody ever says if they get caught being a is like, oh, I was just kidding. And it's like,
I know, but it's
okay.
like we got like several comments right away, Chris, that were like, I can't believe you like In This Moment. And I'm like, just because I'm reacting to an album
What is
does not mean that I like the band, first of all, because I reacted to Lorna Shore last year, so that proves that. And also half of the reactions on my channel I've done this year are me being incredibly disappointed with bands that I love and just tearing their albums to shreds. So like, I didn't understand that mentality at all. And I understand people are just kind of joking around with the one thing, that's fine. But like that you can set aside and still like, but to come at me because I posted an In This Moment reaction, come on, bro. Okay. So that was,
I've been wanting to say also.
okay,
that
you do your thing and then we're going to really start the video.
I really like that Poppy album a lot.
You said that it was growing on you. I was listening to it, obviously, back when I was editing the video, and I was like, there's a little bit more here, I think, than I gave it credit for. And I was listening on my earbuds. Everything sounds better on earbuds because it just
sounds worse.
Because it's just worse quality, so your brain doesn't.
I don't see. That's the thing. I don't think that album sounds bad at all.
Well, yeah, no, right. I don't think it sounds that bad either. I do think it's lacking the high frequencies, but whatever. Okay. Anyway, so here's how I wanted to start this video, okay? Okay, I'm going to go get some beverages. I did buy 2.
Okay.
But they're both
what?
for me.
Okay.
But they're both for me. Very good.
As long as it's not like fake sugar energy
No,
drink, we'll drink
if you
it.
want one, I'll bring them both. And if you want one, you can have it. If not, I'll just drink them both and be super high by the end of the video.
Okay.
High. Interesting use of words.
Probably the closest I'll ever get.
Oh, we know.
So I was listening to that podcast.
Yeah.
It's really cool. And I was listening to one about Regulate by Warren G and Nate Dogg.
Nice.
Which might be... That's just like so far up there on my list of favorite songs ever.
Oh, really?
It really is. I don't know what it is about it, and it was interesting to hear somebody talk about it. Maybe that's what people get from this channel. But it was brought up, I guess I've thought about this before, but it's like, there's no real chorus or hook in this song. It's like every line that they sing is a hook. And it's like, yeah, because everybody who knows a song knows like every word to it. But then, so today, thinking about that, and they were talking a lot about Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg and stuff like that. And so I listened to most of The Chronic, and I listened to... No, I don't want either one of those. Thank you, though.
Well, no. This one's for me for sure. I don't know what this one is.
Maybe I'll have 4 sips of it.
But I was going to say, if you want it, I can just pour a little bit in here to try it, because I want to try it.
I don't want any of this. I'm good. Thank you, though.
What you got there?
It's a Rain Total Body Fuel Razzleberry.
Oh, sure. Like, yeah, the razzleberry. I've seen one of those roots before.
So, on that note,
I want to do stuff like that in the future.
I was talking to Chris Parker on one of your other very luxurious breaks that you take from the work that we're trying to do here.
Got to go smoke a cig every 15
That
minutes.
I was listening...
Me?
No, me.
That I was
good.
listening to
Candle's still going, by the way.
a bunch of Dr. Dre
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
today. And I was listening to The Chronic, and somebody that I had just heard talking about The Chronic was talking about how luxurious it sounded was the word that they used. And I don't disagree. And I like that record. I like a lot of that group of people that was doing that stuff in the early 90s.
What are the songs on that one? Forgot About Dre?
No, that's 2001.
Then I don't know anything
I know
from The Chronic.
you weren't going to know The Chronic. But I was listening to it, and then just for fun, what I do now a lot of times is when I'm like grow weary of listening to a record, always on my recently played is stuff that I mixed and mastered from my band.
Oh, nice.
And so I just go listen and I hit play, like as a reference track. Mm-hmm. Mostly because I'm like, God, I have to do this better next time and blah, blah, blah. And you can go rip me apart because I'm a terrible mixer in the things. My band is called Fast News Rex. The last couple songs that we did were all me on the audio stuff. So whatever. It
Sounds
sucks.
great.
But anyway,
would sound better if I mixed
it sounded like there wasn't just one, but there was a whole Bed Bath & Beyond worth of blankets over my mix.
Oh.
And I'm like, I know I might be a little deficient in the high frequency, but it's not that bad. And then the Chronic, at least the version that's on Tidal right now, is so like not even spit, but above that, like 810K. And the cymbals, like, it's not just ticky, ticky, ticky 808 cymbals. It's like super high frequency stuff.
The interesting thing about that, though, I have heard some remasters where that is absolutely the case. Like, for example, the Blur remasters. I have this, you can't see it up there, and I don't want to tip the camera. I have Blur's entire catalog remastered up here in a big box set called Blur 21. If you watched any of our videos when Cody and I were listening to some of the older Blur earlier this year, I chose to have him listen to the original CD mix rather than the remaster. That is because in the remaster, I feel like they did what I always do to try to fix these albums that I have all these issues with, that I say there's no high frequencies in them. They just put like a shelf, like a high frequency shelf on everything, because it makes everything sound crisper and more close, and like it boosts the high fidelity of it, which sometimes can really help a lot and sometimes can be overdoing it, especially if you're boosting a whole master, like a whole mixed track. That can cause lots of issues, especially in the cymbals and the sibilance in the vocals. But some of the Blur remasters are very much like that. I'm like, oh, this is almost like hurts a guy's ears. So like, absolutely, I think that is on the remaster of that album. I bet the original album is not like that.
I'll bet. I didn't look to see if it was, but it was.
Sorry.
And then I'm like, I wonder how this changed, because if this is so high endy and like nothing else is, right? And then and that's when I skipped to 2001, because I'm like, I wonder what Dr. Dre decided to do with the high frequency over the course of approximately 10 years from the Chronic to 2001, and then the high frequency was like
all there was
in check. No, like it was correct, except for I noticed that because now I'm tuned in, I'm like trying to listen to just what's above 5K.
Mm-hmm.
There are some like keyboard parts and some lead things. I'm like, oh, that is a spicy boy.
Oh yeah,
in there.
When you make
That's
music,
an industry term. That is in
Spicy
Glenn
boy.
Ballew's Sound Handbook for Sound Engineers.
Spicy boy.
A whole chapter on spicy boys.
when you make electronic music, or you're trying to do something and you're scrolling through the patches and you get to one of those like Dr. Dre patches, it's like, oh, gee, many Christmas. The high frequencies just destroyed my eardrums. And that's just how that stuff is. It's just a million miles high with high frequencies, and you got to just get all of it out of there.
But I wonder if it's because that you're
Synthetic
supposed
sound.
to. Well, okay, synthetic sound, you do have to be careful about excessive super high frequency.
And the thing is, they're giving it to you,
Because
so
it
you can
exists.
use it if you want, but you can take it out.
You should take it out. Because, right, those sounds are going to get captured with microphones.
Correct.
Not in a
It couldn't be.
meaningful way.
Right.
But fight me down in the comments. I will go open up my copy of Glenn Ballew's Handbook for Sound Engineers, and I will quote that as I...
Hey, let's listen to some Metallica.
Oh, I was going to do a thing.
Sorry.
Let's listen to Metallica.
You can't do any things because I already did the coolest thing by ripping my shirt off. So,
Okay.
all right.
I wonder
ago.
if it's not mixed like that because you're supposed to listen to it with subs. And when
That's a
you're
great
supposed to
question.
listen to it with so much low frequency that you have to put something in there so at least you can tell that there's a hi-hat
Mm-hmm.
because your teeth are getting knocked out by the bass.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Anyway,
It's like Cody talks about that. My cousin Cody always talks about that when you're talking about people when people were getting really into high fidelity stereo systems in the 70s. Music for like a decade got super high fidelity, but albums were mixed. They weren't mixed low heavy, like low frequency heavy,
Because they knew it was gonna
you were
get
listening
brought
to
up.
it on a big cabinet record player probably from Montgomery Ward or whatever. And when you put it on, the bass, there was just a boomy bass there already. And you have to either turn it down or you can adjust the bass, the treble, whatever. And so albums from the 70s sound so clean, I think, personally. And that's maybe the best decade where a majority of the music sounded like so good in terms of certain things. And it's also, things were recorded different. But
I mean, you can't really replicate good, heavy, deep bass on vinyl.
you can if you record it at a low enough volume.
It's the right, isn't it? I am not a vinyl mastering engineer in the list of things that I am not, nor would I have ever wanted to be.
You
I
can,
don't think.
if you record it at a low enough volume, then the thing that cuts into the groove of the needle can be made wide enough. That's why they have to take albums and make like a regular 1 CD
But
album.
it's the level that makes the needle jump out of the track, not the frequency.
Not the amount of frequencies, correct.
Amount of frequency.
Like the buildup of frequencies. Right? So if you have if you have a album like Metallica's Death Magnetic, the original version, and you're trying to put that on a record at volume 0, never going to happen.
Well, right.
You just cut it in half?
You could make vinyl reproduce 20 hertz, say.
Yeah.
But you would just have to have it really. I think that that's true. Somebody can please fact
And
check me on that.
nowadays,
actual audio thing that I don't know.
Nowadays, the technology is obviously way better, but it's mostly the same technology. So, all right.
For vinyl specifically,
No.
What?
No, the vinyl.
that is mostly the same technology.
For
vinyl,
The
it is.
for like cutting vinyl.
Oh, sure.
Oh,
Okay.
it's gotten better.
Well, I think the accuracy of lasers and the accuracy of needles and whatnot, I think is
Yeah, and probably like you could do like maybe a higher density material even.
I don't know about that. It's not about the density of the material. It's about the strength of the material, which is why they went from shellac to vinyl.
Yeah.
Because shellac is just like,
It just blows apart, and it's made of bugs, which is not.
I have a
ideal.
few metal vinyl records or metal records that are printed on metal, which is really cool.
Ooh, that's cool.
Yeah, I have a lot of cool stuff. I have several videos on my channel here where I talk about different kinds of vintage records and some like paper records, like cardboard records that people recorded at home, metal records, like metal.
The material.
Alloy. Yeah, alloy record.
metal records, and all sorts of cool stuff like that.
Oh, and can I say my little thing about Moth and the Flame I didn't get to say?
Yeah, go for it.
I have lovingly referred to that song as the Lady Gaga Metallica song for a long time. Because,
That's the song that they collaborated on or whatever.
well, they kind of did. And then it went to crap at the Grammys. You don't know about this, Chris Parker.
This Grammy thing sounds familiar.
They were supposed to perform it together, and then something happened with one of their microphones, with either James or Lady Gaga's, and it got kind of butchered. But
Oh, that's a bummer.
But the magic of the internet, the magic of you people out there on YouTube, somebody went and found the rehearsal audio and added it to the actual production video.
Wow.
And it is awesome to hear Lady Gaga singing
That's cool.
on.
That's
That's
legit.
really cool.
And then
That's
right
legit.
they were all like, well, maybe we'll do more with her in the future. And it hasn't happened, Metallica.
Well, she's very
The
busy.
volume with which you are speaking is
Oh, sorry.
upsetting me for looking at your waveform later. Sorry, Patrick, in the future. But I just want to say on that, you made me think of something. We have had a lot of comments on all the videos, basically telling us that people want us to listen to fan remasters of a lot of Metallica stuff, and I personally just do not see the point of that. Like, I don't necessarily know what they're referring to in terms of which album, which songs, whatever.
I'm curious about that.
But like the idea that to me, I like to stick to official releases. Now, on that note, a lot of people have been telling us to listen to that Presidia session thing.
What's that?
yes.
I tried listening to it earlier today just to see what it was. There is no way we're going to waste our time listening to that. It is horrific. It's basically Metallica rehearsing in a space that was like 2 or 3 years before they recorded Saint Anger. And they're just like rehearsing basically. And there's like songs that are like 1.5 minutes, songs that are 3 minutes, songs that are 4.5 minutes long of them just kind of noodling around. But it sounds like they recorded it on one microphone that was set like 45 feet away from them. Like if they were rehearsing on a stage, the front of house guy just turned on his talkback mic and recorded it through that. That's the quality of this. There is no way. I think the only thing we would get from that is if you guys listened to it and you were like, that's like a section of a riff from one of the songs in Saint Anger. because I think that's why people wanted us to listen to it. But the thing is, I don't know if either of you guys know Saint Anger well enough to know, like you could do that with the demo magnetic stuff because you know the demo magnetic riffs. Chris, you know the riffs from Saint Anger, I guess, the best. But I don't know, Chris, right now while we're recording this, go look up Metallica Presidio and just listen to like 5 seconds of it and tell me what you think in terms of the quality of it, because it is so bad. There's no way I think that we would get anything out of listening to it. There's like people who have taken and like mashed the songs together so that they're kind of coherent or whatever, or they cut out parts where they stopped and then started again to try to make like a coherent album. So there is like the Metallica Presidio like album, some fan like put together.
Oh yeah, here's one, an extended version of the Presidio albums I made in my free time.
That's the first thing that, yeah, just listen to part of that.
Okay. Well.
How far away is that microphone?
Let me try that again. Hold on.
Skim around.
Oh boy, that is rough. That is unlistenable. That's like if you live down the street from a concert venue, like an outdoor concert venue, and like, but you somehow manage to get absolutely none of that huge low end that ripples out across everything. It's just, that's really awful. That's really awful.
And I think the reason people like it and think it's so cool is because it's all unreleased Metallica stuff. Like it's literally,
there's something to be said for that.
Right. And I can understand like super fans caring about that, right? It's like watching all the super fan episode cuts of The Office, right? You know, you don't need to get all of the Jim outtakes where Jim and Dwight are, you know, where the 10 extra minutes of them riffing on each other. It's cool to see it every now and then, and it's funny, but you don't really need that. So that's my...
This is miserable, man.
Yeah.
Like, it's so... There's so much lost in the way that's recorded that there's not... I mean, there's not really anything to comment on. It's like, that does sound like a band playing parts of some songs maybe, but that's the best I can do. Like,
yeah. Like we wouldn't be able to discuss very much with that. So
yeah.
So let everyone know that's what the Presidio thing is. So
maybe that'll be one of the short videos that we do, is listening to Lords of Summer.
Well, I just figured next time we get together, we can get together to do a couple different things. Like if we get together to record our four songs that represent our musical taste, I assume that will only be like a 45-minute to an hour video per each of us. And then we could record just like a little half-hour video.
I think that I've decided on that I may choose some of the songs like after I have sat down to record that video. The field is narrowing, and I have decided how I am going to answer, like how philosophical I am going to answer. Like, I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to do. But
so you want to do yours on like a separate day?
No,
okay.
No.
Because you have to have the songs with you when you come.
I know.
And they're going to be named Chris's track 1, 2, 3, 4.
Shut up. I know I'm going to do it. I'm going to do that like that. But I'm probably just going to like sit down and just be like, okay, these are the ones. Okay. I have a couple that are probably set, but I've decided how I'm going to answer the question. I've decided what the question is to me.
That's great. I think you're probably thinking about it too hard if it's like this difficult. I picked mine right away, and I just keep thinking of different reasons why they're good. They're good representations.
No, this has been way more interesting to me than that.
Well, I mean, I've been thinking about it consistently the whole time too, the only thing I had to do was debate about one specific thing, and I've listened to like 40 songs, and I'm like, I keep coming back to the same one. And when I keep listening to it, all of a sudden I'll be like, wait a second, this is the words that are being said during the chorus. And that actually is something that has meaning to another aspect of something of music that I'm
kind of going through some of this.
You know what I mean? So like I keep finding reasons within my 4 songs to justify picking my 4 songs. So,
Chris Parker.
I gave this little challenge to my sister and a friend of ours, and they were both pretty quick to pick theirs, and they were basically just genre based. Like, here's a song that represents this genre that I like, and this one, and this one, and this.
That's how I started, and then I was like, My
problem is that I'm looking for a through line. What is the thread that
you've been
ties
saying that, yeah.
people in planes to firewater.
I'm so curious to see what you come up with for that.
That's kind of
You
what
and me
I'm
both.
doing too, and like I'm really surprised at some of the things I've come up with. Like, right, because like here's this thing that I like, and here's this thing that nobody in their right mind would. And my hand is out of frame. Well, that no one in their right mind would assume like you could make a line.
This is all getting cut.
And I'm gonna it, then play the next song.
Yeah.
You said we had to
Yes.
milk it to make a longer video, so I was.
Why?
And now you're telling me
never
we get it
ever
cut.
should we need to try to make a longer video.
Milk talking about Metallica.
Oh my god.
You're a piece of garbage.
Doing this whole thing, I just used all this performance I had.
I loved the conversation we were just having. I just don't think it needs to be in the Metallica video.
No.
All right.